Hello, welcome again. Today we'll talk about Dura Mater. Dura is actually outermost covering of meninges, and as I already mentioned before that Dura is a tough mother. It is toughest of all three layers, and it is very much sturdy. And if you ever hold on to Dura Mater from any direction, it will not tear apart. It is that much tough layer. So in this particular slide, what I have got for you is the entire overview of our Dura Mater, our Dura covering. So Dura is covering our entire surface of brain. Here you can clearly see it. I'm trying to highlight it. So Dura has got some sort of specializations, or you can say some sort of areas where Dura comes up towards the surface of brain, and then it folds back onto the midline, and it folds back to the midline like this, and it forms some sort of structure called as a falx cerebri. I can highlight it here for you. This is actually a structure called as a falx cerebri, or you can call it as a folding of a Dura Mater. And it is actually separation between our two cerebral hemispheres, and this falx cerebri lies into the superior sagittal sinus. As I already mentioned about the superior sagittal sinus in our video of gross anatomy of brain. And then we have here we have another teeny tiny falx cerebelli that lies between cerebral hemispheres, but it is very hard to see. It is not very easy to appreciate. So let's leave this. So I mentioned falx cerebri. Then we have another thing here called as the tentorium cerebri, another folding, tentorium cerebelli. You can imagine it is coming towards you from screen because it is at the right angle to the falx cerebri. So this tentorium cerebri is at the right angle to the falx cerebri, and it is a kind of a tent over cerebellum. So you can visualize it as the tent over cerebellum, and it is a kind of tent that lies between occipital lobe and cerebellum below it. So there are some sort of other specializations of Dura also. These are called as the dural venous sinuses or dural sinuses. These are actually sinuses where blood collects into here, venous blood collect here before going into the heart. So I can show you here in this slide. So here on the top of this falx cerebri we have superior sagittal sinus up on this surface of the falx cerebri. And there is another venous sinus here called as the inferior sagittal sinus on the inferior surface of the falx cerebri, right? Then another sinus we have here is called as a straight sinus here in this place here, a straight sinus. It is actually at the point or at a place where our falx cerebri and tentorium cerebri come together and meet. So it is actually kind of at a junction point between the falx cerebri and tentorium cerebri. We call it a straight sinus. Then we have another sinus, another dural sinus, which is called as a transverse sinus, which actually runs transverse on the back of the tentorium cerebri. So it is actually transverse sinus here. So let's look in the diagram. So here it is another diagram for you guys of actually our base of brain, where our brain is removed and our skull is also removed from top. So we can clearly appreciate falx cerebri here. It is a falx cerebri here, and on the top of falx cerebri we can see superior sagittal sinus open. So let me draw it here. This is our actually falx cerebri, and on to the top of the falx cerebri we have superior sagittal sinus that is actually open up here, and it is filled with the dark venous blood. Then if you look at here down, this is the tentorium cerebri. This is the tentorium cerebri, and as I already mentioned that between the meeting point of the falx cerebri and tentorium cerebri we have a straight sinus. So this is superior sagittal sinus up here on falx cerebri, and then on the meeting point of the tentorium cerebri and falx cerebri we have a straight sinus here. Now let's look at this diagram, diagram here. In this diagram, this is the tentorium cerebri. You can clearly appreciate it. Again, this is a straight sinus here, which is between tentorium cerebri and between a falx cerebri. This is actually a straight sinus here. Then here C, this C is actually representing confluence of sinus. It is a point where our transverse sinus and straight sinus comes together and meet with the inferior and superior sagittal sinuses. So it is actually confluent sinus or confluence of sinuses. So these sinuses are actually collection of they are collecting actually our venous blood, and they are actually valveless. They don't have any sort of wall. So blood can flow in any direction into these sinuses, depending on whether you are sitting, standing, or you are sitting in any position. So they don't have any valves, but they are covered with a smooth endothelium. So that's why they are somewhat smooth, but they don't have smooth muscle like our veins have. So these are valveless, They don't have any sort of muscle around them. These are just actually caverns of sinuses or caverns of blood where blood is running into them, and blood will drain from them into the inferior jugular vein, and from inferior jugular vein it will go into the heartbeat. So that's all for today, and we'll talk about arachnoid matter in next video inshallah.